coffee releases over 1 trillion plastic nanoparticles directly into your drink. 1 trillion. Those particles cross the protective barrier of your brain. This is just the first of 5 common habits that are silently compromising your brain health every single day. And there is one drink sold everywhere as a fitness option that, according to science, can literally caramelize the blood vessels in your brain. I'm going to show you which one, but first, there's something very few people stop to consider. Most villains of brain health don't look like villains. They come with healthy product labels. They look like harmless habits, and that's exactly why they keep doing damage day after day without anyone noticing. My name is Dr. Thomas Ellsworth. I've dedicated my life to studying how what you consume directly affects the health and longevity of your brain. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. What we bring here can make a real difference in your life. Back to the disposable cup. When you pour any liquid above 80 degrees Celsius into a foam or plastic cup, heat acts as a solvent. It starts breaking down the inner lining, and what was once the structure of the cup becomes part of your drink. No color, no taste, no visible sign. Studies published between 2022 and 2025 identified these nanoparticles activating defense cells in human brain tissue. The result is neuroinflammation. Silent. No pain, no warning. And what's most alarming, it doesn't need to happen every day. The progressive accumulation over time is enough to open the door to processes associated with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. The solution is simple. Switch the cup. Use glass, stainless steel, or ceramic. It's a small change with a potentially enormous consequence. Now the second villain. This one hides in a habit that seems like the most harmless thing in the world. Tea bags. That daily ritual of dipping a bag into hot water and watching the color unfold feels like pure health. But research from the Autonomous University of Barcelona, confirmed by a review of 19 studies published in 2025, revealed something that changes everything. Polypropylene, nylon, and even heat-sealed paper tea bags release billions of microplastics per milliliter into the water. Per milliliter, they are now considered the single largest source of microplastics in hot beverages. These particles follow the same path as those from plastic cups. They cross the blood-brain barrier, they trigger inflammation, and they gradually and invisibly compromise the integrity of your neurons. There's a simple test you can do right now with any tea bag you have at home. Try tearing it open empty. If it tears easily like paper, it's relatively safer. If it feels like a resistant fabric, it contains plastic. The best option is always to choose loose leaf teas brewed in a stainless steel infuser. Do you use tea bags every day? Think about that. Now we reach the third villain, and here things start to get really serious. Zero sugar, diet, 0 calories. You probably drink one of them thinking you're doing your body a favor, maybe even your brain. That's exactly what the industry wants you to believe. Science tells a different story. A study published in the journal Neurology in 2025 followed more than 12,000 adults over several years. The result was direct and alarming. People who frequently consume these drinks show cognitive decline 62% faster. That's equivalent, on average, to an extra 1.5 years of brain aging compared to those who don't consume them. Artificial sweeteners interfere with gut bacteria that produce neurotransmitters. They alter insulin response. They create metabolic confusion in the central nervous system. The brain expects to receive energy. It gets the signal that energy is coming, but it never gets the fuel. And it pays a silent price for that, repeated day after day. And you know what's most alarming? There's another type of sweetener. This one marketed as natural, found in functional beverages and keto products. Recent research from the Cleveland Clinic shows it may be even more dangerous to the brain's blood flow than artificial sweeteners. And the vast majority of people who consume it have no idea. That sweetener most people don't even know they're consuming is called erythritol. And there's also xylitol. Both appear on the labels of functional drinks, keto bars, and fitness products as if they were safe, natural, even superior alternatives to sugar. The Cleveland Clinic investigated this in depth. In 2023, it published a study in the journal Nature Medicine that put experts on high alert. A typical dose, around 30 grams of erythritol, is enough to raise blood levels of this substance by up to 1,000 times in just 30 minutes. 1,000 times. At that concentration, blood platelets become visibly more reactive, more adhesive. They begin to form what science calls microclots. These microclots aren't visible on a standard test. They don't cause pain, but they directly interfere with blood flow through the brain's capillaries. It's as if there were tiny, invisible traffic jams inside your brain's blood vessels, each one irrelevant on its own, but accumulated over months, they progressively compromise cerebral circulation. In 2024, the same Cleveland Clinic published data on xylitol in the European Heart Journal, showing a 57% increase in the risk of cardiovascular events. And in 2025, researchers at the University of Colorado exposed brain endothelial cells to concentrations equivalent to a can of functional drink. The result? Oxidative stress, a drop in nitric oxide, and reduced ability to dissolve clots. Silent microstrokes, happening without anyone noticing. And these products continue to be sold as the smart choice for people who care about their health. Now we get to the villain I promised from the very beginning. The drink sold everywhere as a fitness option that, according to science, can caramelize the blood vessels of your brain. Commercial oat milk. Yes, the favorite of gyms, modern coffee shops, and anyone who believes they're making a smart swap by replacing regular milk. The problem isn't oats themselves, it's the industrial process. When manufacturers process oats into a beverage, they break down the starch into maltose, and maltose has an extremely high glycemic index, higher than table sugar in many processes. What does this mean for your brain? Repeated blood sugar spikes lead to the formation of AGEs, advanced glycation end products. In plain terms, glycation, the gradual hardening and narrowing of blood vessels, exactly like metal rusting from the inside. And when this process happens in the vessels that supply the brain, the risk of vascular dementia rises silently and cumulatively. Look at the carton of oat milk you have at home. Read the ingredients. If you see amylase enzyme or maltose on the list, now you know what you've been drinking. Do you still drink oat milk thinking it's the healthier choice? Think about it. But take a breath, because so far I've shown you the villains, and now the table turns. For every one of these forms of damage, there is a biological response your own body is capable of executing, as long as you give it the right tools. Modern science has identified specific beverages capable of stimulating brain detoxification, rebuilding neural connections, and slowing cognitive decline. And the first one is something most people would never associate with brain health: bone broth, specifically consumed at night. It sounds too simple, but the mechanism behind it is sophisticated. Bone broth is rich in glycine, an amino acid that triggers vasodilation and lowers core body temperature. These two combined effects induce deep sleep, what science calls slow-wave sleep. And it's precisely during this stage that the brain activates its internal cleaning system, the glymphatic system. During this nightly cleanse, the brain actively removes toxic waste accumulated throughout the day. Among them, beta-amyloid plaques and tau protein, the two substances most associated with the development of Alzheimer's. This isn't theory, it's documented physiology. A cup of homemade bone broth, about 30 to 40 minutes before bed, is enough to activate this mechanism. It doesn't need to be anything sophisticated. It needs to be consistent. And the next brain protector is something you probably have in your kitchen right now. But prepared the wrong way, it does absolutely nothing for your brain. The way you prepare it is everything, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Golden milk, made with turmeric, black pepper, ginger, and cinnamon. You've probably heard of it, but what almost nobody knows is that the way you prepare it determines everything. Without the correct preparation, curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, is destroyed before it ever reaches the brain. The key lies in two ingredients most people overlook. The first is black pepper. The piperine in it increases the body's absorption of curcumin by up to 2,000%. Without it, curcumin barely reaches the bloodstream. The second is fat. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it needs fat to be absorbed. Whole milk, coconut milk, or almond milk are the best bases. The recipe is simple. 250 milliliters of your milk of choice, 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, a generous pinch of freshly ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of ginger, and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Heat everything on low for 5 minutes. If you want to sweeten it, use honey, but only after removing it from the heat. Heat destroys the properties of honey. That's all there is to it. Now comes the third brain protector on our list, and this one has decades of science behind it. Green tea, especially matcha. What makes this drink different from any other is L-theanine, an amino acid that crosses the blood-brain barrier and induces what neuroscience calls alpha waves, a state of relaxed alertness, focus without anxiety, clarity without agitation. It's the state that artists, meditators, and high-performance athletes describe as the ideal mental performance zone. And it doesn't stop there. Green tea also stimulates the production of BDNF, a protein that works like fertilizer for your neurons. It sparks new connections, strengthens existing synapses, and literally helps the brain grow and renew itself. A meta-analysis published in 2025 using data from nearly 60,000 people showed a significant reduction in white matter lesions in the brains of regular green tea drinkers. Compromised white matter is directly associated with cognitive decline and the risk of dementia. But there is still a fourth protector, and this one is the most studied of all. Coffee, filtered, prepared the right way. The coffee you probably drink every morning can be one of the most powerful allies for your brain health. But it depends on how you prepare it. It must be filtered through a paper or cloth filter to hold back compounds that, in excess in unfiltered coffee, burden cholesterol levels. French press, espresso, and unfiltered drip coffee concentrate these compounds excessively. The filter makes all the difference. It should be consumed in the morning, no later than 3 p.m. Caffeine consumed after that fragments deep sleep, the same sleep the glymphatic system uses to clean the brain, and never in disposable cups. You already know why. A study published in JAMA in 2026 followed more than 131,000 patients over 43 years. The result was clear. Consuming 2 to 3 cups of filtered coffee per day reduces the risk of dementia over a lifetime by 18%. 18% over 4 decades of follow-up. And the mechanism goes beyond caffeine. Coffee contains trigonylene, a compound that activates cellular autophagy, the process by which cells recycle their own waste and accumulated toxic proteins. It's literally a cellular cleanse triggered by your morning cup. And the fifth brain protector is also the most accessible of all: water. But done right. Replacing commercially flavored beverages with sparkling water and lemon, mint-infused water, or freshly brewed natural teas already removes a constant source of artificial sweeteners from your routine. Sometimes the most important step is the simplest one. 5 villains, 5 heroes, and one truth that remains after all of this. What you drink every day is not a detail. It's a decision your brain registers, accumulates, and responds to, silently, either building or destroying. Which drink are you going to change first? Tell me in the comments. Which one of these villains surprised you the most? If this content made sense to you, like it, share it with someone who needs to know this, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell